Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Super Prime UK with your Super Prime valuation specialist, myself, Rob Cohen.
And myself, James Wild.
Hope you all had a great Easter. We are back ready to share with you all of the latest intel, data and insight in what's happening in the property and lending market. And straight over to you, James, with the latest data.
Thanks very much, Rob. So in terms of the data in London for the past week, new instructions, Rob, fairly positive, 313 for the past week. Obviously, it's been a short week. Last week, only 4 days rather than 5, so, you know, losing 20% there in terms of the days, so I think that's a good level. The sold numbers this week, 114, Rob, so we've been averaging, you know, about 140, 150 mark for quite some time this year, so that's just taken a small dip, so we're going to see if that returns to the more usual levels, about 140 transactions per week next week. The pipeline's pretty good, Rob, this week, 192 under offer properties there, so hopefully they come into fruition and fall into the sold category.
Then we're going to see a strong May. I've spoken to all of the agents. The agents are saying that they're being instructed and sent in a lot of valuations to bring properties to the market. I think once we get over the bank holiday, and we get into May, I think we're going to be full steam ahead, and I'm expecting a very, very strong month.
Yeah, like I say, Rob, on the ground today, a lot of agents are actually away at the moment, just taking that time off in between Easter and the May Day bank holiday coming up next week. So a lot of people out of town at the moment, so another 4-day week coming up. So we're just going to see how the data portrays itself for the next couple of weeks before hopefully moving into a very strong set of data for May. Just in some other agent news for the Q1 2022, Foxtons Sales Revenue is down about 9% for Q1 2022. However, as the London rental market continues to recover to its pre-pandemic levels, their lettings revenue is up 21%. So some positivity there, Rob.
Yeah, no surprise. Foxtons have been on a mission to grow their revenue and their lettings stream, replacing their historical position of being strong in the sales market. And I think that's a different approach from the business. And it's no surprise that they've responded strongly with lettings figures.
Yeah, I mean, last year as well, bumper transaction volumes year, we had the stamp duty holidays and then the extended deadline for that. So difficult to keep pace with that 2021 market in terms of the transaction volumes there. In terms of market growth and stability, we're sort of, there's been steady growth here in London. However, it's the transaction volumes which aren't at the same level as 2021. Just in terms of some of the property portals now as well, the profits and revenues for the agent-owned property portal OnTheMarket released data operating profits this past financial year of £2.5 million, with revenues in the region of 31 million. Very positive news for them, relatively new agent-owned property portal which has entered the market the last few years. Let's compare that to the market leaders though, Rightmove. They have the most instructions, the most data. They are hitting revenues of 305 million with profits about 226 million. So you just be able to compare the two there in terms of the entrance to the market against the market leaders, Rob.
Yeah, outside of those two, you've obviously got Zoopla, and those three are the key market makers. And it's interesting that some of the online portals haven't performed as well. Purple Bricks, I think some data there haven't performed so well. And it's interesting how mainstream agents, the certain online portals and are producing, whereas others aren't.
Yeah, I mean, in it, like we said, in a year of 2021 where there's been absolutely record transaction volumes, Purple Bricks have lost a lot of market share and haven't been performing in terms of their revenues as they should. So it'll be a bit of a defining year, I think, the second half of 2022, not only for Purple Bricks but for those online agents who do the sort of fixed price sales and are obviously non-shop front, to just to keep their operating costs very low. We'll see how that sector, if it survives, 2022, 2023. Just a bit of high street news in London. Zara signed a deal for a store on Electric Boulevard in the Battersea Power Station district, a new store of about 50,000 square feet, so a pretty good sized store. Obviously Electric Boulevard runs just south of the power station between the Frank Gehry's Prospect Place buildings, very notable buildings there, and the Battersea Roof Gardens, which just abut the railway lines. It's going to be a bit of a new shopping district, that, Rob. They obviously want it to rival the West End. Whether it will get to quite a level, we'll wait and see. But a lot of other retailers signed up: Hugo Boss, Calvin Klein, Lacoste, Ralph Lauren, Reiss, The Couples, Jo Malone, and a lot of other big names there. Well, whilst you mentioned that, Rob, Prospect Place, what are your thoughts on the development there? It's obviously a very famous architect. We've got Frank Gehry.
As you know, worked on the scheme, around the scheme for the last 10 years. Big believer in what is, on a cost basis, the largest regeneration scheme of its kind in the UK. And I think Battersea, the power station and the developments around it are going from strength to strength, in the sense that, as we reported within the last 6 months, the Battersea Power Underground Station opened, and the Prospect Place is now coming to fruition, and the first of those units are being completed on. And I think very interesting scheme. I think some people will love the architecture and the design. Maybe it's not for everyone, but as a whole, as a wider scheme, I believe, because of its wonderful location on the Thames and its close vicinity and the speed at which you can get to the city, I think the medium to long-term view on everything that's happening there is only going to be positive and good.
Yeah, great location obviously there. In terms of those units with the northern aspect, having a river view, while some of the other units having views over the public realm and communal gardens, and obviously being in the heart of the shopping district there. You know, it's a statement building. That's exactly what they wanted it to be. It's sort of slightly clinical in terms of its presentation and standing, but you know, a great addition to the Battersea Power Station district there. Just moving on to the UK economy, and you know, in terms of the UK economy, Britain its gradual emergence from the COVID-19 pandemic has meant that government borrowing has halved in its latest financial year, but remains its third highest on record. The latest official data shows, however, obviously, as we move on to this year's data for the government borrowing, it's obviously with the removal of furlough, emergency loans and grants, alongside some of the alleviating costs of some of the NHS test and trace, the vaccinations, and obviously COVID testing. This will have helped and assisted in reducing the government's borrowing, so hopefully that continues to lower, and as a result the Chancellor should have scope in his autumn budget, Rob, to respond to the cost of living crisis. I don't know if there's any more duties that can come off. I know that they're looking at ways to assist where possible in terms of the cost of living crisis we're seeing here.
Yeah, I think that economic data is only good. It's positive. It's a post-COVID economic data as we move into a new environment, a reboot recovery environment. And I'm sure that as we drip feed off of all of that stimulus, and hopefully, as you've just said, it can come back in another way, shape or form further down the line in the next budget.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. And just if we get back to on a macro basis, Rob, some slightly concerning data the last few months and in the last quarter in terms of the UK economy. We've obviously had in February the UK economy grew just 0.1%. We've got inflation at 7%, and this is anticipated to rise again at the end of the month when the April data is released. Whilst the pound is falling slightly against the euro the last week or so, more severely falling against the dollar, being its lowest level since October 2020. You know, on the back of this, the UK housing market has been extremely robust the last 2.5 years. Double-digit growth the last 2 years as well. And how do you think the UK economy, the UK property market is going to perform for the remainder of 2022, Rob?
Yeah, and we've just seen out the first quarter and signs were very promising. Obviously, we're hoping for more sustainable conditions, maybe not so many peaks and troughs. And I would be very hopeful that that single digit growth, possibly not double, but single digit, remains in the short term. And then it's just how the government and the country manage the inflation position that we're in, inflationary conditions we're in at the moment, and see if they can get it under control. And the market will be determined on that. I think the signs in the very short term is that the market's robust and strong and will remain active, and that's what we're seeing on the ground in terms of the volume of work and activity. So I think that's promising in the short term, and we'll have to see as the year progresses how sustainable that is under these inflationary conditions.
Definitely. I think getting inflation under control is the main one, allow other markets to flourish there. And also the double-digit growth we've seen in the UK residential market, it's proved tricky in terms of the creation of the wage gap, affordability, not only here in London, but the rest of the country nationwide. So I think, like you say, Rob, steady growth in the UK housing market is ideally what we want for the remainder of the year. And the signs that we're seeing on the ground, it's remaining robust and prices are steady and slowly rising.
Brilliant. Thanks for all of that, James. Great update. Super excited, as I said at the beginning, to be back. We've really got some really good stuff happening over the coming weeks, and we're here to share all of that, hopefully good news and positive outlook on the property market lending, be focusing on seeing what happens with interest rates moving forward, and we'll let you know all of those super prime deals and transactions that are happening on the ground that we're seeing, and hopefully that market continues to remain strong as we will be reporting. Again, as always, thank you for your tremendous support on all the socials, all of the engagement, all of the updates. We will be doing everything we can to report to you and give you everything that you're looking for on this channel and throughout all our engagements. So thank you, everyone. Keep engaging, keep supporting, and we will see you all next week. Thanks, James.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks very much, everyone.